Welcome back. I'm here with Football League editor Pascal Lemaire to talk about Derby versus Charlton. Derby are pre-season favourites for promotion, but inauspicious start to their season.
Certainly was. They went to Bolton, who are one of the weakest teams in the league if you look at their squad, and they weren't even able to score there. A 0-0 draw. A 0-0 draw away from home, it's not that bad, but I think they should have been wanting better from that, and they couldn't score, and there's just bad storylines coming out of the game. Two of their key midfielders injured. I think Craig Bryson's out for 2 to 4 weeks, but the big one is Will Hughes. Their star, linked with a lot of Premier League moves in the last couple of years. He's a very, very bright young player. He's out for, they've said 6 months with an ACL injury, but usually ACL injuries, they can be longer than that. They're usually about 8 to 9 months, so he could potentially miss, almost all of the season if he's out until about April. So that's a huge, huge blow for them. And, I looked at the team sheet for that game, and, you looked at some of the players that were missing. Craig Forsyth at left back, he's been one of their best players the last 2 years. Stephen Warnock got in ahead of him, which was really surprising. I know the new manager now, Paul Clement, he's going to look at players and decide who he thinks, but for me, if someone like Forsyth, who's been absolutely fantastic the last 2 seasons, for him to not get in, maybe he was carrying a little knock or something, but he was on the bench, so I was surprised to see him drop out. And some of the other players, I saw Chris Baird starting at right back. He's been named captain, but the last sort of year or two, Chris Baird in the Premier League, he's been playing in a more sort of holding midfield role and dictating play there, but he started at right back. Cyrus Christie, who was their best right back last season, he wasn't even in the squad at all. So he's certainly made a few changes there. He's made some bold decisions, and that first game it didn't really work out. He didn't start Andy Weimann. He left out some players that I thought he would have started, and it didn't really work out for him. And the injuries are even worse. So
With those injuries and the result, would you still have them as favourites for promotion?
I think I would, yeah. You just look at their squad; it's so strong all over the pitch. The players they've been able to sign this summer. Tom Ince had quite a quiet game against Bolton, but he was brilliant for them in the sort of the last couple of months of the last season. So he should come good. And George Thorne came back. He barely played last season. George Thorne. So if Will Hughes is out, that would be a boost for them if George Thorne can play. But on paper they should storm the league if you ask me. Darren Bent up front, Chris Martin, who's a great Championship striker. They've got Weimann, Johnny Russell, Tom Ince, and at the back as well. They're strong at the back. So I think they should be fine, but certainly wasn't the best start.
In contrast to Derby, Charlton have had 2 very good wins in League and Cup so far.
Really good wins. They started at home to QPR, just come down from the Premier League, QPR, and I think QPR, they're being viewed a bit differently this year because they've made some more sensible signings. Les Ferdinand, director of football, Chris Ramsey, the head coach, they've made some better signings. I picked QPR to go there and win there 1-0, but Charlton 2-0 win, very assured performance. Tony Watt with a goal and Morgan Fox, the left back, with a goal as well. Very good performance. And they welcomed Dagenham and Redbridge in the League Cup in midweek and a 4-1 win there. Tony Watt, he's got 2 and 2. He scored in that midweek game as well, and he didn't actually start against QPR, but he's really impressed in these 2 games, and I think he should start in this one. And yeah, they look good. Johnny Jackson, the captain, he was left out against QPR. I expect him to probably come back and start this one, but look at other players. There's the guy Reza, who impressed in the World Cup, I think it was, maybe with Iraq or Iran, I'm not sure which one, but he really impressed. But last season it was weird. He went and left to Qatar. He went and left on loan for money. It was a really weird one, but he came back. He scored against Dagenham and Redbridge, so he's coming back. I think it looks quite good for Charlton. I'd still be surprised if they turn themselves into playoff contenders, but certainly been a good start to the season.
And which way do you see this one going?
Yeah, I think Derby, they'll get their first league win here. I think even though it's been a good start for Charlton, Derby, I know the mood isn't great at the moment because of Hughes' injury and this, that and the other, but they still, on paper, they are very strong, so I'm going to pick them to win 2-0.
So Sportsman going for a 2-0 win for Derby.